from $16,000 a year to $100,000 in a month. Today I'm going to walk you through the real timeline behind the success of the tantra business that I've run with my husband for the last 7 years. So the first piece that I want to get into here is really the myth of overnight success in itself. A lot of times we hear about people's overnight success, and what we're really starting to hear is when they finally broke through the barrier of trial and error, usually after many, many, many years of many, many, many failures. And the thing that's missing from a lot of those amazing stories that we end up hearing is those years of effort, the years of learning, the years of trial and error, and the reality of what it actually took to get there. And so that's what I want to share with you today, because it's so easy for people to look at what we're doing now and think, oh, it's easy for them. Of course, they're making 6-figure months. Of course, they have a huge audience. Of course, people sign up for their courses and for their in-person events immediately. Of course, that stuff just sells out right away. It's not just because we're lucky. It's not just because magic happened. It's because of years of consistent, dedicated effort and really a relentlessness to creating the outcome that we wanted, which is impacting initially millions of people. Now it's tens of millions and hundreds of millions of people around the world. And, I want to tell you a bit about our journey today in this video. And yeah, really it's just that the highlight reels that we see on social media don't always show the full journey. There's so much noise. There's been so much noise, I think, since 2020, of everybody getting really big online seemingly really quickly, that all we see is what looks like those overnight success stories when, like I said, that's just not true. So the early journey, the early days of my own business is, I used to be, I'll go back to the earliest days. As a kid, I was the neighborhood pet sitter. I was going around watching everybody else's pets. I was taking care of the farms. I was taking care of the chickens and the horses and the donkeys and the dogs and cats and fish and everything else that was around me, in exchange for some kind of salary. It was a set amount, and it was it's this much a day, or it's this much per trip, or whatever it was. And that was when I first started recognizing that it's really all about what I started to believe was, okay, it's about how much time I can spend doing things and how many times that I can do something in order to make money. A few years later, I got into, thanks to a family friend, they gifted me a bunch of vending machines that they had around town. And so I became the vending machine stalker and manager and everything else to do with vending machines. And I did that for, I think, 3 years throughout high school. And I got into lifeguarding after that in high school. I was doing that both at an indoor pool and at an outdoor pool. After that, it gets more interesting. I was working in the gold mine that my dad worked in, and that was my summer job in between college. And yeah, there was multiple different things that I did there. I went back there for my first 2 or 3 years after college, and sometimes during winter breaks too, which, I had I'm sharing all these different experiences, and there's multiple different things from there. I was a server at multiple different restaurants. I was a cheer coach in Australia. There's so many different types of jobs that I did, and I'm really grateful for that, because it helped me understand just all the different facets and all the different ways to make money and to be valuable, to create value for other people, to make people's lives and experiences of the world better. And so that's really something that I feel shaped the rest of my entrepreneurial journey once I started getting into that. So in 2015, I got into network marketing, and that's when I really started recognizing how unimpressive my money mindset was. And, I was always wondering, is creating financial freedom, is creating an abundance, is really living a life that I can easily visualize that requires a high income, is that actually possible for me? Or do I just have this really, really big dream? Do I just have this ability to dream really big and have big visions, but it's not actually possible for me? And, during that time, I was really struggling to actually make ends meet. I had laughably low rent at that time. It was like $300 to like $650 a month, depending on which place that I was living in. And a lot of times I was still barely making it. And I had to debate sometimes between like, okay, do I get a little bit more expensive groceries or do I pay my rent? It was very, very hard. Some of those times. And so once I started network marketing and I was getting into personal development, I was getting more into spirituality, I was learning more about myself and ways that I could shift and change my mindset, ways that I could become a better human, become a better person, become more efficient, become just everything that ironically I thought college might teach me, that it absolutely didn't. College for me was more about really making the right connections and meeting the right people who could help me become who I needed to become and get to where I wanted to be. And it's really easy to hear me say that and be like, oh, it must have just been like manipulation. It must have just been like this whatever thing. And that was something that I really feared a lot in my early days of network marketing, of like, oh, what if people think that I just want to be their friend to make money from them? And so of course that fear manifested into reality, and I literally had one of my best friends turn on me at one point and say that I only wanted to be her friend so that I could make money from her, and had to go through that really painful experience to recognize that I was the one creating that experience. I was the one who was creating that outcome. And so I really had to work on shifting my own self-belief and self-worth and self-trust to know that I could trust my intentions were pure and trust that the right people would see that, and the people who weren't even meant to be in my life in the first place wouldn't be able to see that, and it's not my job to try and convince them otherwise. It's none of my business if that's what they think of me. So some of the first big wins is after I'd been doing network marketing for a few years, I was also still doing many other things. I was doing freelance graphic design. I was doing freelance marketing. A bit later, I got into health coaching, and I ran a graphic design and marketing agency, mostly helping yoga studios bring more people in, bring more students in. And in 2017, I met my husband, and he was really obsessed with Qigong and tantra, and I was really obsessed with marketing and making money and graphic design, and had at that point been really trying to do things on my own, had been trying to launch courses and do different things. And really I was my own biggest saboteur at that point. I still didn't fully believe in myself. I didn't fully believe that other people would believe and trust in me. I didn't fully believe that I could get people the results that they wanted, even though I had proof that I was doing it. I still couldn't believe it. It felt like a fluke. It felt like it wasn't repeatable. It felt like it wasn't an intentional and repeatable system. It didn't feel like it was something that I could reliably do again. And so when I met him and the dots started connecting around like, wait a minute, he's really obsessed with this thing. I'm really obsessed with this other complementary thing. What if we came together and created something? I wonder if that would actually work. And so as we had been talking about things, I dropped the seeds and started sharing, hey, here's how we could make this work. And later in 2017, I think it was August, before we met, I already had a trip planned to go to Australia. And so I told him like, hey, I'm still going, even though you can't afford to come with me right now. And I have really enjoyed this relationship, and I really hope that it doesn't fizzle out. And I know that you can't come with me right now, but here's a couple of books that have really supported me on my entrepreneurial journey. And maybe if you implement some of this stuff, you can actually come with me the next time I want to go on an international trip. So lo and behold, he did it. When I came back in January, he had a YouTube channel. We started an Instagram account, and things really started taking off really, really quickly. Just as far as like audience growth, we had set it up very, very smart and intentionally from the very beginning with a free ebook that would bring people onto the email list. And that was really it. We didn't have a way for people to pay us. There was nothing else going on. It was just, here's the back end systems and here's the free social media. The free social media went on for a year, YouTube and Instagram being the main platforms. YouTube really was the main platform. And almost a year in, it was right around a year in, we launched the first 6-week course, and that was our first $15,000 month. And that was the moment that it was like, okay, this does work. I do have a system. I do know what I'm doing. It is reliable. It is repeatable. I need to fucking believe in myself. And that's what's kind of crazy is, you know, for me, that was my like 4th or 5th business. And that was 2015, 16, 17, 18. That was 3 years in, which to some people is not very long. And to other people is a very long time. And again, I just share that to show that, like, for some people, things work immediately. For other people, it takes a little while to find your groove, to figure things out, to find your voice, to figure out who your audience is, to figure out who you actually want to and can help in a big way. And so, yeah, it felt both really surreal, but it also felt really normal. It felt like I finally understood how to make that happen. And, you know, a few years later, just kind of looking through my notes here, see how I want to share this next part with you guys. Whoops, I skipped back to the wrong part. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, that really, really shifted for both of us. It shifted both of our beliefs because that was more than either of us had made in 1 month at that time. And I know that for my husband, for both of us, that was almost the same amount that we had been making in a year, not that long before then. I think it was like around 17 to 20,000 is what we were both making before that period and per year. So, you know, that first significant launch really rewired a lot of stuff for both of us around what's possible when you're working for yourself versus working for somebody else. So then, you know, of course, from there, it was really all just about refinement and simplifying our systems and refining the systems, making sure that things are working properly, making sure things are working as well as possible, as good as possible. And so 2018 through 2022, man, more tired than I thought today. 2018, the end of like October 2018 through, it was actually October, I'm pretty sure it was 2022. Yeah. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So over the next 4 years, we were making very, very, very consistently, reliably $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And then we did launches 4 times a year, once a quarter. And those launch periods, those months would be a bit higher. Throughout that entire time period, it was launching that exact same course. So for, I think, like 6 years, that was the only main course that we had. We launched it 4 times a year, and that was it. We had payment plans that carried over in between all of those, but that was really the main thing. It was just that. It was super duper simple. And then I think it was 2022, 2023, we started introducing some lower ticket masterclasses that would then lead into the higher ticket program. And then in October 2022, we had the idea for a new course. Previously, it was a 12-week course. It started out as a 6-week course, extended to 12-week course, really because our students needed more time and we had a lot of shit in there. So it felt better to like spread it out and give people more space to go through it rather than trying to cram it all into 6 weeks. But we had the idea to create a 12-month program. And so we did that, and that launch ended up being the first $100,000 month. And that was a long period of time in between. It was about 6 years between that first launch and the 100K month. And it ended up being like 121,000 cash, something like that. And what's interesting is people can change a lot in a long amount of time, in a short amount of time, and people can not change at all in any given period of time. And what I think is really interesting is every time that we committed to really going deeper, to learning more, to being the student, to expanding our knowledge, to approaching things with a beginner mindset again, those are always the times when we would expand the most. And that was really what we were doing then, was looking at it as like, okay, how can we go back to the beginning, go back to the basics, create something fresh, something new, something that supports our audience in a new and different way, but also takes them deeper on their journey. And that's what ended up creating that big shift, was not only doing something different externally for our clients and for the business, but also doing something very different internally, of just really continuing to expand our internal state and stay open to the possibilities of what's possible, really. So obviously we had to, throughout all of those different phases, we had to shift from being in survival state. There's so many times that my husband and I will joke about now where it's like, remember, even when we were making good money, we would still go to the grocery store and only get like $20, $30 worth of things at a time. Like, there was so many different little areas like that where we still didn't actually feel comfortable with money. We still didn't actually feel comfortable spending, especially spending larger amounts, whether that was a couple hundred or even a couple of thousand. And what feels really cool right now is that even when we have very unexpected expenses come up, that whether it ends up being like $1,000 or it ends up being $30,000, it doesn't feel like a big deal. It feels right. It feels like, oh, that's what we need to do. Okay. It feels like going to the grocery store and spending $20. It feels equally as like easy and simple. And that's really the lesson that I want you to take away from this, is that it's not so much about hustle and doing more at the higher level income months. It's really more about having intentional systems that actually support your dream lifestyle, that actually support your dream audience, not just the people that you feel like you can help or the people you feel like are willing to listen to you, but the people that you're like, oh, I know I could help these people. I know I could help those people, even though it may feel far out of reach right now. I know that I can do this. And it's really more about creating that alignment and creating that support within your systems, because the other thing is that obviously from the very beginning we had each other. We were supporting each other in that business. We were supporting the client experience, supporting the customer service, supporting the content creation, supporting everything. And over time we started hiring team. Over time we started hiring other people. And it's only been in the last, I think we're coming up on close to 2 years, maybe a year and a half, of hiring co-facilitators to actually support our students even more. And we have a really big vision for that this year, really sharing how we're expanding into $1 million months and helping hundreds of millions of people. And it's really amazing how the vision and the team and what's possible continues to expand as we continue to expand ourselves. We went to a business conference a couple of weeks ago and it was life-changing. I'm always going to these types of things, to retreats, to events, and every time it helps me rediscover even deeper who I am, commit to who I am even more, and stop hiding myself in different ways, and also see different ways that I'm still playing small, even though from an outside perspective, it might be like, holy shit, they're crushing it. Holy shit, they're doing so much. Holy shit, they must be so busy. Oh my God, there must be so much going on. When in reality, it's like, we've been kind of coasting and taking it easy and going with the flow, and it's working, but It wasn't creating an immense aliveness within us. And now, after having an expanded vision, after being around people who are doing things way, way, way bigger than us, and seeing what's possible, not from a how much money can I make perspective, even though I'm like, fuck yeah, I love money. Money is fantastic. I do want lots of it. There's a lot that I want to do with it. I have really, really big plans and visions that require a lot of resources, like money. But also from a perspective of like, wow, I didn't realize how much my heart has been aching to help way more people than I'd been allowing myself to even believe is possible right now. And that's really where this is coming from, this expansion. So yeah, I really want you guys to take away from this is that success is inevitable for anyone who is committed to the path. It isn't possible. It isn't just a possibility. It's inevitable if you are willing to stay the path no matter what. I'll be talking about this in other episodes, but like there's been so many different challenges that have come up throughout the last 10 years for me of entrepreneurship, and all of those lessons were required in order to become the person who could actually hold the amount of income and humans that we're holding now. A lot of people who see the overnight success, air quotes, don't see the amount of inner turmoil that those people are going through in order to get there. The people who do explode really, really quickly and build a business really, really quickly, they've gone through so much internal and external in the sense of the people and community around them shifts so much, so quickly, usually so painfully. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's not sustainable. It's not something that people typically want to replicate, and they would much rather replicate slow, steady, sustainable growth because it actually feels better, because it actually feels like you have space to breathe and to expand in a more supportive way, rather than in a getting punched in the face over and over and over and over again every hour kind of a way. So, you know, there's so much importance to really staying that course, staying dedicated, staying devoted, staying the path no matter what, and really owning your power and staying committed to the long game. A lot of people who blew up in 2020 are no longer running a business at all in 2025 because they did it in a way that was so unsustainable that they burned out and just said, fuck it, I am not doing this again. I will never do this again in any way. And the other thing I really want you guys to keep in mind is just noticing where you're at in your own timeline, noticing what season that you're in. Are you actually in winter in your business, but you're trying your hardest to make it spring or summer? Can you just relax into whatever season that you're in? We've been in winter for a while now. And especially with, there's been a lot of things dying off lately, and just recognizing that like there's a lot of momentum building right now, but we're definitely in winter, and just accepting that, allowing it, not trying to force to shift it. And the more that you can do that, the easier that your journey will be, because you're not trying to work against nature. You're not trying to fight against it, but you're actually working with the energy and momentum of your business, even if at the moment the energy and momentum is all underground. The energy and momentum is all in the seeds. So if you've enjoyed this, definitely check out my free training down below, Relaxed Recurring Revenue. It'll walk you through even more detail, more specific detail of exactly how we built the business that we have, helping creators create easeful income. And one of my other options that I think is really freaking powerful and really potent and can definitely help you create the kind of income that you want to very, very quickly in an extremely sustainable way is 7-Figure Freedom Method. This is for the healers and coaches who are ready to scale to 10 to 20K months right now. You know how you want to help people. You might already have a course, or you might have multiple courses, and you might not have any right now, but you know that you want to create group programs that'll help more people than you possibly can just by doing one-on-one sessions. And my final invitation for you right now is It's currently called the Vibrant Year. I think it's going to be shifting its name. It's my year-long mastermind that has 4 in-person mastermind days so that you can get the experience that I'm always telling you guys about, where you actually are in person surrounded by people who are doing similar things to you, who are really expanding themselves in really, really big ways and expanding what you believe is possible for you. And on top of that, you get 7-Figure Freedom Method. You get all of my signature courses for the entire year. You get at least 4 group coaching sessions, hot seat sessions every single month online. There's so much support in there. Really, in all of my programs, it's impossible for you not to succeed and grow and really hit your goals as long as you're actually implementing what I'm teaching, because there's way too many people out there who not only promote offers that encourage you to just binge the trainings but not do anything, not take action from them. And then there's also so many people out there who are students who approach things that way of like, okay, how can I be the A+ best student so that I can just show up to this course, show up for all of the trainings, and take as many notes as possible, take the most perfect notes, but not actually implement what I'm learning. And it breaks my heart because I'm like, if these people on either side, if both the mentors and the students would just implement it, they would fucking explode. They would explode their impact. They would explode their income. They would explode what they believe is possible for them. So if you're called to anything in my world, know that implementation is my love language. Know that even if you're just, again, air quotes, if you're just listening to my free content, but you're implementing from it, it would make me so happy if you just commented and told me what happened when you implemented what I taught you, because that's truly my love language. I absolutely adore hearing that you implemented something that I taught you and that it fucking worked, because I know it will work for you. So let me know when you implement things, and I hope that I get to help you and support you in growing your business very soon.